Over the last couple of years, we've been building something. Mainly behind the scenes, I've been seeking out and working with the greatest minds of our time. People who, if protected and facilitated, will achieve extraordinary feats in every field of critical thinking and creation. Their work exists in a place called the American Dream Labs. They're picking up where the great dreamers left off. Their work will be much more than just creation and discovery. It'll be more about what we do with the discovery. The American Dream Lab. We will finish the unrealized dreams. We will shape a tomorrow that is fueled by individuals bent on being the author of their own destiny. We will create the power, grow the food, heal the sick, and re-educate. We will tell the stories that have unleashed human potential, and we will write the next chapter that shapes the stories of the future. And we'll do it because we can. Because it is our God-given right to troubleshoot our own destiny. We will do it because when you can free yourself from the systems of control, energy, education, environment, then you have truly won your independence.
The future is coming to the American dream. The future is coming to the American dream.
Hello.
Hello, America. Welcome to The Blaze and the network you are building. It's been quite a week as we've gone over the American Dream Labs and really focused on the future. Today we're doing a special show, Ask Glenn Anything. I think there are a few questions after this show that people might have. But let me start with you first, Glenn. Do you think you pulled it off? You had a lot going in your head.
I don't know. I mean, do you think, how much of it did you follow?
Give me hands for confused.
How many are confused with what we...
Be honest, it's okay.
Be honest, it's totally cool.
It's actually better for me if you
3,
insult
4,
him, so
5,
please.
You're confused by the whole thing? Are you confused by the whole thing? Is that what it is? Can we go, let's go lady in the back here. I'm sorry. What are you confused by?
There's so much. I don't understand what you're doing. Are you building it in New Zealand and bringing it here?
Yeah, that is. Can we show the arc lights, please? This is the Tesla. The only thing we're building in New Zealand is this. These are men in Faraday cages, and they are using Tesla coils. This is just an amazing thing.
Actually, we're bringing them here to build it.
They're building it here? Yeah. Okay, we're bringing them here to build it. And this is, by the way, Ben. This is the head of the Dream Labs, and I would call him my chief storyteller. And
can you just make up titles for everybody?
Yeah.
He's never been called chief story. He's just like chief storyteller.
We talked about this. We have spent we've spent a lot of time together lately, and the thing, it's up on my chalkboard. We are storytellers. That's who we are. I'm not an inventor. I am a storyteller. So we are looking for the people that can help me tell the story of America, because I think it's time that we start moving forward and we start, I can't talk about that man anymore. I can't do it. And I think most people are like that. They can't talk about it anymore. We're watching the destruction of our country. We know the problem. Well, what are you going to do about it? Well, I honestly don't know all of the things that I have up in my head. I said right before we went on, it's a little overwhelming to have this in your head. I've had this in my head since part of it before we met in Washington, D.C. the original Dream Labs is still on my window in New York City, and I wrote it the day I got back from that vacation. I drew that up on my window there, and it has been in my head, and nobody has known it except some of the closest people on my staff, and what it really meant until this week. And it's a little overwhelming to get it all out, and then to see the reaction, and see the reaction even from my own staff. It's funny because different parts of the staff freaked out at different parts of the week, but.
Well, a few of you were confused. How many are excited by the vision that you saw this week? Does it seem like something cool? Did it seem promising? I mean, that's pretty much everybody. That's good.
Good.
So let's start off with questions. We got a bunch of questions from the audience. Many of them are here, also through Twitter and through email over the past couple of days. We start off with this one, and I think it's something that you focused on all week, which is not figuring out for yourself, not how you're doing what you're doing, not what you're doing, but why are you doing it? This question comes in from Chris. Many people, including myself, have done next to nothing in regard to our whys other than fulfilling a basic need. Was this the point of you asking to snap people out of it and take inventories of their whys?
Yes.
If so, it worked, but I'm left with one new question. What am I going to do about it?
That is the hardest question you can answer, I think, in your life is why. Why am I here? Why was I born? Why am I surrounded by the people that I'm surrounded with? Why am I in the circumstance that I'm in? Tell me how fast we would fix things in the country if we took an honest inventory of why are we here? And then, why as individuals am I here? How would we fix our companies if our companies asked themselves, and money could be the answer, but I think if money was the answer, a lot of us would say, I don't really want to work for you. If we asked ourselves honestly, why does my company exist? Why does my company exist? And you concentrated on the why. You could say, well, because we're craft, and we make the best food, and we're feeding people. But if that was really your why, I'll bet you, if you married into that, you would behave differently than craft does. And so we have to ask ourselves why. And then we have to seek others that have the same why. I realized this summer, and the reason why I gave you the last part yesterday of independence, I didn't plan on giving that to you until this summer. And when I realized something, when we are at Cowboy Stadium and all these people are coming from all over the country, and all these people came from all over the world to go to Israel, and all these people came all over the country to go to Washington, D.C. the summer before that, something dawned on me. We're the Grateful Dead. And here's what I mean by that. People come together for the Grateful Dead. It's not for their crappy music. Nobody's coming to see me. You're coming
for the drugs, Glenn.
Yeah, no, thank you. You're coming for the community. You're coming for the experience. We like each other. Our audience knows each other's why. And it's nice to be in the company of other people that have the same why. And what we do or how we do it may change from person to person. But we have that fundamental why. And that's critical. If we can just continue to connect with the same whys, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. But too few people are asking themselves that question.
Chris Admire's here. Chris has a question about taking the vision from the idea to the reality. Chris?
I was just asking, one of the things pushing forward with a vision is how you overcome the obstacles that have faced you with your vision. I'm in the process of starting a 501c3, and sometimes it's the government that gets in my way, and and I don't want to take away from the vision I feel God's placed in my heart. But how do you push through those visions without detracting, as you talked about on yesterday's show?
First of all, if the vision comes from God, there will be extra opposition. It will not be easy. It will be harder. However, if you always remain true to the vision and true to Him, which is there is never any confusion, there is never any deceit, there's never any corners cut, and there's never any fear. He will give you the tools. The reason why most of the stuff I do, I speak into existence. In the beginning, there was the Word. And the power of the Word being spoken is incredible. The Word, the name of God is I am. And when you put the last word after that, I am what? I am what? You create that of yourself. I don't think people understand the power of speaking things into existence. And it's funny, and Stu will tell you, they always hate it when I go on the air, because some of the things, like the second screen technology and some of the things that I revealed for the Blaze this week, I said before we even announced the Blaze, I said we're going to do these things. But we have been busy on other things, we're doing other things, and in October, I went up to New York and I said, where are we on this? We're getting to it, we got it. In December, I said, where are we on this? They said, okay, we've had some meetings. So this week, I spoke it into existence. Now it's going to happen. I'm tired of waiting. Now it's going to happen. And you just have to be willing to let the tools will come to you. It may not be exactly what you thought it was going to be, but if you are prayerful about it and separate yourself from the end vision, it's not your product. So when it's out there, that's it. I thought it was going to look a little differently, but that's it. You know what I mean?
And that's a good, I think, lesson for everybody, in the average person is, say something and then your staff of 200 will make it happen. So make sure you remember that. Dennis writes in, he says, Independence USA looks like you're trying to build utopia. That usually doesn't work out too well. How can
first thing we do is confiscate all the guns.
Yes. Assault weapons ban in Independence USA?
Yeah. No, I tell you, it is, it is, I actually battle with that because it is a little utopian in nature, in its very fabric. I mean, it is a planned community, which I'm not for planned communities. However, it is not a, it is meant to be a beacon. It is meant to be a symbol of hope. And I don't think there's anybody that would live there or work there that are going to be forced to work. There's lots of places you can work. Actually, fewer and fewer places that you can work now because we are not doing the right things. But there's lots of places you can do. You don't have to live there. You don't have to work there. Nobody's going to force you to do anything like that. This is a place that if we put this together, you're coming there by choice. And it is meant to be a beacon, an example of what people can do. And whether it, it is, as I walked through, when's the last time anybody went to Epcot? Anybody go in the last year? Okay. I went to Epcot just this last summer, and I've been there a million times, and it is not what Walt Disney designed. That's the one park he had nothing to do with. That was a salute to what he was trying to do. And it looks like Yesterdayville. It looks absolutely like Yesterdayville. You cannot build something that looks like the future because by the time you build it, it will be outdated, especially now. Everything changes too fast. So the whole idea behind this is to, while it's a look at the future, it is the embodiment of the true facts and the true principles that we know. Everything else can change, but certain facts don't change. And that's what would draw people around the world to see the experiment. That's what we were, the American experiment. It was a little shaky from time to time, but people came from the world to see. It's a petri dish. That's all it is.
Gary Cummings is here in the middle. Gary, you have a question kind of on how does this American Dream Labs vision work alongside of what Glenn is doing every day?
Yes. Let me just say, I've been watching you for a while, and I just appreciate the fact that you brought us all of this good information, and that's what I see as the value. I think you have really great vision, and I'm concerned, with going into this new development. I'm excited about it. It sounds great.
I want you to know the independence is on my off hours. That's what I do for fun. That is not something that we have scheduled to do anything. Everything that we are picking and choosing from that is directly related to strengthening the network. Do you understand that? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because this is a similar question comes in from D.
Hang on just a second. I don't know if I heard your question.
Well, I think you probably answered it with your last statement there. I just hope that what you do in the future doesn't draw away of, take from what you've been doing in the past.
Yeah, believe me, everything that we're building. Could you put the compass up here, please? The show that I'm doing at the 5 o'clock show, this show is going to change slightly in the coming weeks. And we are going to be pouring many more resources into this show. And it is going to follow this compass. And next week I will explain the points on the compass and what they all mean. But they are all centered around really why. Why do we do things? We've had this oval sitting here and we were doing political speeches. This is actually going to transform into a classroom. David Barton and I are going to develop one of the shows a week will be on a current issue. And then how have we faced, let's say, gun control in the past? Give me an example of one president. And what was he facing at the time? And why did he make the decisions that he did? So we're still going to be doing a lot of the same things that we did, but I think we're going to be more focused. Let me ask this. Let me take a quick poll. How many people watch my show because you want to get the news of the day? Perfect. Perfect. That's not what we feel this. We get this grind from time to time that we feel like we have to do the news of the day, and I think that's wrong. Sometimes we get lost, and that's why I put the compass on, and it's up on my windows in my office. Stay the course, and it's not the news. It's the perspective of why it's happening and what it means and how to deal with it that we're going to be concentrating on.
I think we got a lot of this, though, in the questions that were submitted, in that people don't seem to, want you to give up on the fight. And I don't think that's true, but listen to this. I know the American Dream Labs is focused on preserving America for the future, but I'm concerned about the present. That comes in from D. Shouldn't we be thinking about how to help conservatives get into office right now and stop our administration from taking our rights away right now? You're talking about this long-term vision, which of course is important, but what about that other side? Right now, these things are happening to us.
I know. I feel the same way. Look, I'm an American just like you, and I have the same problems just like you. And I'm probably one of the only people, everybody else is cutting back. I'm doing everything I tell you not to do. I'm spending money like they're printing it. And I'm doing it because I believe we have a limited period of time. There is a very short window. And that's one of the things that I hope you see. I am literally putting all of the chips up on the table. I'm putting them all up on the table. And if I lose everything, I'm okay with that. I can start again. I've been poor, I've been rich, I was poor again, I'm rich, I'll be poor again. It doesn't matter. That's not why it drives me, and it's not what makes me happy. But we have a limited time. I'm asking you to help get the word out, to go help us find new subscribers, help get us on new cable companies, help expand this, because we are in trouble. But I can only follow what I feel like I'm supposed to do. And what I'm supposed to do is make a place where information can be shared, where the truth will be told, where journalists actually will ask and report the truth, to make it as self-sufficient and stable and as debt-free and without any other corporate interest, and be as transparent and solid as possible. And then, believe it or not, I am overwhelmed with the sense that I am also supposed to find entertaining ways to tell the stories of America, to be a beacon of hope. Not me, but to have people look at things and be able to have different people, not just us, but different people that you can bring in who might hate my guts, but will walk out of there and going, oh my, I've never seen anything like that. I've never experienced anything like that. And you'll be able to say 3 days later, you know, I've been thinking about that. Did you notice in that? Did you? Yes. I believe I'm supposed to preserve and tell the stories of America. Honestly, I don't know. I'm as concerned as you are on our country. I am as concerned as you are. And I feel, I think I said to you yesterday, it's easy to do God's will, I think, when it's what you don't want to do. Because when you don't want to do it, you know it's Him telling you. I've never before in my life experienced Him telling me to do something I want to do. And so, I question every day, is it just me? Maybe I'm hearing this, maybe I'm making this up. Maybe I'm so tired of doing the other stuff that somehow or another I'm delusional and I'm doing the stuff that I want to do. I can just tell you that that's what I believe I'm supposed to do. And God will sort everything else out.
Well, if God starts telling you to eat extra Sundays, that's you. That's not God.
Really?
Yeah, just so you know. We're talking about the future of this show, this network, and really more importantly, our country. More questions from you next.
Future is coming. To the American dream. The future is coming. To the American dream.
May I, before you start, let me just say something I just said to the audience, but I felt important and I want to say it to you. One of the other answers to that question that I was just asked about, what about our country? What do we do? I am overwhelmed with the sense that we are supposed to pull in our ranks and we are supposed to care about our families and our local communities, our neighbors, and we are supposed to strengthen each other as close to home as we possibly can. I would tell you, I've never felt stronger, and part of this is just me, but I've never felt stronger that everything that I've done is worthless if I lose one of my children. And I mean lose them, I mean because I have failed to be at their football game or I've failed to be there. It's meaningless if we don't. It's their generation that's going to fight it. Not ours, it's theirs. Strengthen them.
Get this question in from Twitter. Any plans on bringing the Dream Labs into the schools? Is the next generation being asked to participate?
No, I think the two things that you can't bring into schools now, of course, are guns and anything done by Glenn Beck. No, we're going to bring the schools into the American Dream Labs. And we'll have more on that in coming months.
Another question from Twitter from Sheldon Benedict. Is the Dream Labs going to be a separate show, or is it going to be part of yours?
I believe eventually it will be a weekly show, and I'm probably talking about 2 years down the road, but I think it will be a weekly show, and maybe in 5 years will be the only project that I'm doing. I mean, far as in public like that.
Sarah Hune, you're out here, over here to side. A couple of questions about how the channel expands.
Yeah. First, as a native Texan, we were so thrilled when you moved to Texas. It was just awesome.
Thank you.
So are we.
I've been with you since Philadelphia, and
Wow.
I've kind of gone through the whole thing. And I guess my question is, we're really lucky because we have Dish Network. And I mean, we did the Roku thing and then Dish. Do you have any idea when you might go to DirecTV?
I will tell you that everything that I showed you this week, and you're going to have to listen to me and try to figure out what I'm saying here, but everything that we have announced this week A lot of it has a start date beginning in middle of March or so. And if you would like to call your cable operators and ask them politely to carry dish, and if you would like to make that a grassroots movement, we'd sure like to have the country watching for the launch of the Blaze in its many new programs. So it'll be up to you.
Yeah, and if the cable companies aren't able to or are not willing to carry the Blaze, we're going to go to Union Thug tactics. We're going to start burning down buildings, bashing kneecaps.
Right.
That's all coming too. We hope you can be a part of that as well. Stephanie Turner, you out there? Stephanie, you had a question as well?
Yes, the interactive television that you were talking about where we
Second screen?
Yeah, the second screen technology. Are we going to be able to see that on all of the programming on the Blaze, or will it just be your show?
No, everything that I've announced this week is network-wide. However, it will all start on my show. The second screen technology is enormous in manpower to get it right. We are probably for programming going to, on second screen technology, double our staff, and then on the commercial things, triple the size of the staff. So I'm running parallel staffs on everything. And so everything will start in the 5 o'clock hour on my show. When we get it down, when we get it mastered, then it will go to the entire network. Right now, second screen technology, which is being pioneered really by Nintendo, is used on some networks, on some shows, limited amount. What we're doing is vastly different or wider scope, and it will be network-wide. I believe television is a tool now that either sits on your table or hangs on your wall, and it is a tool. This is your primary screen in the coming times, and so you will be able to have everything there on every show.
Quick question, just personally, let's just say for a friend, if a co-host were to typically spend their time eating when the main host was speaking, and when you had that second screen technology, they could theoretically watch that person eat French fries while you're speaking. Is that accurate?
That's a hypothetical situation. I can't imagine that happening.
Good. Mike Smith writes in, seeing that the big thrust of the project is pushing the envelope of technology and media, I'm wondering if there are plans in the works for a tech show. We are in the younger generation, gravitate towards things like social media and tech blogs that keep us on the cutting edge. I would love to see some sort of tech talk from an outlet not mired in the bias of the mainstream media.
I'd love to do that. I will tell you that I just got a note from Ray Kurzweil today, who is, I think, simultaneously the most brilliant man alive today and the most dangerous man alive today. He is the head of artificial intelligence at Google, and he has his own newsletter that goes, to, his really technical futurist kind of friends. And I got a note today that they want to do an interview with me on what I see coming in the future, because he's apparently been watching this week of shows, and which gives me hope that we're on the right track. If we do it, it will not be a tech show. I believe there's two sides of technology. Technology is like fire. If you are the master of it, you're fine. If it masters you, it will burn us all down. And it is currently innocuous. Currently, most people just think it's just there, whatever. They don't recognize it is fire, and it is burning our families and our interpersonal relationships and skills down. I'm all for technology, as long as we understand it's a rattlesnake. Rattlesnakes are great pets, unless you treat it like a kitty cat or a puppy dog. Know what it is. So if we did a tech show, it would show the ramifications and personally, I think the ethical questions that are just over the horizon on tech. We're going from, hey, look at the cool screen and look, I can do this, to, is that a person? Is that life? Or is that still a machine? That's where we're headed within 10 years. By 2050, the most common lawyer skill or set that they will need to have will be the representation of artificial life by 2050. Are we prepared for any kind of ethical questions as we just have crossed the threshold of an entirely new age and an entirely new relationship with machines? Nobody knows it yet. We just crossed it.
Shockingly, that the world's developments will lead to more jobs for lawyers. That's shocking that that's where they'll wind up. Rob Westman, are you here? A lot of people, Glenn, this week talked about how the media coverage was kind of about how you're relaunching the Blaze as a global libertarian news network. First of all, is that
Does anybody
accurate?
think that that's what I said this week?
No.
I am not changing the perspective of the Blaze. I was stating clearly that we are not ever going to play the left and right game between the Republicans and the Democrats. That's a ridiculous game to play. The game, the place to gain traction, the place to gain youth, the place to gain in common sense is all of the people who have spat themselves out of that system of I'm a Republican or I'm a Democrat. They're all, at least all my friends, are neither anymore. They're all saying, I just want something that makes sense. Well, that's really the libertarian position. And so we're going to be the network that takes the libertarians seriously. And the only reason why they're not is because of Woodrow Wilson. It's time to put them back at the table. And one big government position is enough. I don't need a disguise of two big government positions pretending that they're different.
So, quick, Rob, you had a question on the...
Yes, how will you find a libertarian Mike Wallace that has enough clout to where he doesn't come across as a rookie reporter? And
right. I'm not. I will tell you that we're going to have to grow some people. There are a lot of good people that that are out there, and I don't pretend to assume that we're going to be a place that we're all libertarians. You know, we're gonna. I mean, I have liberals working for me. Yes, I do. And what we have in common is sense. We don't talk about issues based on right and left or donkey or elephant. And so we will find reporters, we will find investigative journalists. We're not going to hire rookies for, if you're referring to the 60 Minutes thing, they're not going to be rookies, believe me. They're not going to be names that you know right off the bat, although we are in current negotiations with several names that I think, and not all in news, that when you hear them, we believe that people will be a little stunned that they're coming to work for us. And it has nothing to do with their political position. It has everything to do with, well, you guys aren't a serious network. Oh yes. Oh, yes, we are.
More of your questions next. It's been an amazing week of shows where you've been trying to outline the future of not only just, what happens in this, fancy little studio, but something that can really affect the way that we interact with each other, the way we learn information, and the way we live our daily lives, hopefully. Again, you're coming from a perspective of trying to get everything that's in your head out to the people. Mm-hmm. Do you think that this is something? I know your internal feeling is, of course, we can do this because we're Americans and we can get this done. But are you ever intimidated by the fact that these are pretty lofty goals?
No, nothing will stop us unless, not even a collapse of the economy. Only tyranny will stop us. Man is free. And if we are good to each other, and we are decent, and we are honest and honorable, and we are pursuing a celestial why, nothing will stop us except tyranny.
Colby Hansen is here. Hi,
Colby.
I would ask him to ask this question, but I love the way he wrote it so much, I feel like it has to be read. Constructive criticism is good. As partners, where's the best place to tell you if we think something sucks?
Right now.
Fortunately, I don't have any specifics because
You're a futurist.
Glenn Beck doesn't do anything that sucks. But I mean, I'm sure you track who's watching what and how many people are watching what. So you could say, well, this particular show might not be tracking well because not many people are watching, whatever. But I'm wondering.
Hang on just a second. I don't do that.
Well, I'm wondering if within a show I'm watching something, so I'm counted as somebody who's watching the show, but something about it. I feel like approaching the Glenn Beck show, I mean, I could try to call in on the radio show, or I could send an email off to who knows where, but I'm wondering, how do we interact? And I'm sure volume is an issue, because we all want to do that.
About 2 years ago, we were getting about 5,000. I personally was receiving about 5,000 emails a day, emails and letters. And it has gone up and down. It's about that now, more or less, depending on the day and the subject. There's no way to be able to cull all that. It's one of the problems that we have. I will tell you that we do, somebody on the staff always reads Twitter and Facebook, and we eventually get to all of our email. We really do read all of our email. I get summaries generally, and I get important things. It's one of the hard things communicating with such a mass. We kind of, believe me, if something's really wrong, it kind of gets to us. But I don't track. In fact, I said on Monday morning, I think, driving in, I said to, I think it was my daughter, she was driving in with me, and she said, Dad, what do you think people are going to say about the show? And, are people going to watch? And I said, I don't know. I don't think so. But, I just do what I feel is right, and come what may. If we get to the point where we care about ratings, we will start to make all of the wrong moves.
A lot of people have become believers this week, I think. Corey writes, will you create a Pathfinders type program so that small businesses like mine can help? Say a contribution at around $5,000 a year gets an invite to an annual event.
Okay, you want to come over to my house? Yeah, there's a couple of ways. I mean, the biggest thing you can do to help is if you can afford $9.95 a month or whatever it is we're charging for the subscription, if you can afford one and give it to a friend, an uninformed friend, but one you think you can help, and you can afford to carry that extra weight, it would greatly, greatly help us. Every single dollar you send, I do not take home. Every dollar you send, I plow back into this network. So every dollar you subscribe, everything, every product, everything that you can buy, you buy one of our books, I plow it back into the product. I have enough money. I haven't made personally profit, I think, in 2 years now. I haven't taken anything home for 2 years. And I'm not counting on taking anything home for a while. I'm plowing everything into this. And so if you can help us with subscriptions, that's great. On the, none of that money is going to independence. However, Mercury One is going to be opening a special fund that will fund for the preservation of the stack of books that I was talking about, American history. I feel compelled that we need to compile and save the best pieces of American history. I'm doing everything I can personally. My accountants are yelling at me to stop. And if you can help shoulder that, they will have a fund that you can go to, and it will all remain in that charity. It's not going to me. It will remain in that charity for auctions of rare antiquities that tell the American story. That's another way that you could also help.
We have a rapid fire bunch of questions coming up here in just a second.
Oh, okay.
We're back after this.
The future is coming to the American dream. The future is coming.
Then it's your turn to move.
All right, welcome back. Quick questions here. Ready?
Yeah.
Barb, are you here? Barb? Barb is in the back here. I had a question about sort of the ultimate goal of all of this.
Right. Well, you talked about independence, and it looks like this wonderful place. So you build it, and then people come, and they learn, and they grow, and then what?
They go home. And they
then
go home.
we do more communities like this, or you
No,
just think
you
it
just take
changes them on the
principles-
inside?
Because it gives you hope that it can be done, that life can be different. That when I started this network, I said this network for me personally is going to be a test. Is the American dream still possible? Can a man blaze a path and do his own thing and be free of everything else? Do what he believes is right and still have a chance of being successful? Or is the government and the corporate structure so that it will crush the life out of him? I may be Tucker. I don't know how it ends. But so far, the American dream is still alive. Be a beacon to let other people know, hey, work hard, learn in different ways, follow your heart, and it will happen. It can still be done, and not just here in America, but hopefully it will be a beacon for the rest of the world to see. It's a petri dish of the American experience.
Sarah asks, what are your plans for reaching college and even high school students? They love comedy. That's what initially attracted me to you on radio.
Look for announcements, hopefully in the next 60 days.
All right. Stephanie asks, in an attempt to reinvent the education system with the premise of Dream Labs as a basis, could apprenticeships be something that might be a viable alternative to college?
Apprenticeships are absolutely the key. There is no reason for people to get into debt. Apprenticeships are absolutely the key. I've hired so many people right out of Columbia, and my business partner, Chris Balfe, who actually runs this company, so I don't live under a bridge, he's always telling them, don't listen to me, and I think I'm right. All these Columbia people, all these people that we've hired from NYU and everything else, I've said to them, because they've come into my office, I've learned more in 1 year with you than I've learned in 3 years at Columbia. I said, you know what? Quit. Have your parents send me the money for the last year. There's no reason, if you know, who is sending their kids, stop sending your kids to find themselves. Stop it. Stop it. Education doesn't mean anything if you're not looking for an application. Look for the application of your knowledge. When you know what you want to apply to, what you want to apply your knowledge to, then go seek an education. And quite honestly, you can get a much better education from somebody who's doing it. And if you want a general degree, go get that. But you don't need it for $100,000 or $50,000 in debt. You don't need it.
Once you've got one Independence Park, I guess park is not the right word, but up and running and self-sustaining, will you build other locations? It's
a starting cost of $2 billion. I think let's be happy with that one. Let's be happy with that one for a while. Americans, you always want more.
Back in a second. All right, one last sentence to sum this week up. Anything?
Thank God it's Friday.
All right, from Dallas, good night, America.